The Stanley Hotel, an invitation to the overlook. You know that feeling when you walk into a grand old building and the air feels heavy? Like you've just missed a conversation the walls were having. That's the Stanley Hotel. Picture it. A brilliant white ghost of a building floating against the Colorado Rockies, breathing in that sharp, pine-scented air. It looks like a dream, but for over a century, people have been waking up from nightmares here. Welcome to Estes Park, where the real-life inspiration for Stephen King's The Shining does more than just sell ghost tours. It holds onto its stories with a cold, dead grip. This isn't just about spooks, it's a story of defiance. It begins with Freeland Oscar Stanley, a brilliant mind behind the steam-powered Stanley Steamer automobile, a car that was fast, revolutionary, and occasionally, exploded. In 1903, Freeland was handed a death sentence, tuberculosis. The cure? Fresh mountain air. So, like any dying Gilded Age titan, he didn't go to the mountains to rest, he went to build an empire. The Stanley Hotel, opened in 1909, was a technological marvel in the wilderness, fully electric, telephones in every room, a modern palace for the wealthy to elegantly cough their lungs out in. But building on wild land is like making a promise you can't keep. Nature remembers, and sometimes so do the people. Let's talk about Room 217. Ever have a light flicker in your house, and for a split second, your rational mind goes, "What was that?" before you dismiss it. In Room 217, you don't dismiss it. In 1911, a chambermaid named Elizabeth Wilson was nearly killed in a gas lamp explosion in this very room. She survived, dusted herself off, and went back to work, because that's what you did back then. Today, guests say she's still on duty. Luggage is mysteriously unpacked, lights turn on and off, and sometimes a spectral woman is seen tidying up at the foot of the bed. It seems Mrs. Wilson's work ethic is eternal. It was this room that gave Stephen King a nightmare so vivid of his son being chased by a fire hose down the hotel's corridors that he jolted awake, lit a cigarette on the balcony, and by sunrise had the blueprint for The Shining rattling in his head. But the Stanley isn't a one-ghost show. On the fourth floor, the playful laughter of children echoes when no kids are around. In the ballroom, a phantom pianist plays for an empty room. Mrs. Stanley, they say, still enjoying her grand creation. Skeptics will tell you it's just old plumbing, creaky floors, and the power of suggestion. And they're not wrong. But when the same stories are told for over 100 years by people who've never met, you have to wonder, is the hotel haunted? Or is it just so full of history that the past has started to leak through the cracks? Honestly, the line is so blurry it doesn't matter. The chill you feel on the grand staircase is real, whatever its source. The Whaley House. The floorboards. Remember ever live in an old house? You know the sounds. The creak on the stair you swear is a footstep. The groan of the pipes that sounds like a whisper. You tell yourself it's just the house settling. But what if it's not? Welcome to the Whaley House in Old Town San Diego, a beautiful brick home that settled on some very, very bad memories. Built in 1857 by Thomas Whaley, a sharp businessman with terrible luck, the house has a dark secret in its very foundation. He bought the land cheap. Why? Because it was the site of the public gallows. The first man hanged there, a thief named Yankee Jim Robinson, reportedly laughed as the noose tightened. Years later, Whaley built his family's dream home right on top of that spot. From the moment they moved in, the house felt wrong, heavy, phantom footsteps, doors that refused to stay closed. His wife, Anna, felt an unseen presence following her. Yankee Jim, it seems, never vacated the premises. Tragedy followed the Whaley family like a shadow. Their young son died of scarlet fever in the house. Their daughter, Violet, after a scandalous divorce, shot herself in the chest. She didn't die instantly. Her grief and pain soaked into the home for days. Visitors today report a profound, unexplainable sadness on the second floor. A cold that has nothing to do with the temperature. It's the kind of sorrow that leaves a stain on the air itself. The ghosts here are a family reunion. Thomas Whaley is seen near his study, still worried about his ledgers. Anna wanders the garden. And Yankee Jim? He's still stomping around upstairs, an angry, invisible tenant. Is it real? Or is it just a perfect storm of history and suggestion? Think of it this way. When you feel a sudden chill in your own home, you can explain it away. Here the explanations have names. The Whaley house isn't just haunted. It's a lesson in what happens when you try to build a future on a past that isn't finished talking. Area 51, the allure of the locked door. We've all had one, that locked door in a grandparent's house. That box in the attic we were told never to open. The allure of the unknown is a fundamental human itch. Now imagine that locked door is the size of a small country, hidden in the Nevada desert, and guarded by men with guns. That's Area 51. For decades, the U.S. government pretended it didn't exist. Officially, it was just a blank spot on the map near a dry lake bed called Groom Lake. This silence was the best marketing campaign ever. It turned a top-secret military test site into the world's capital for UFO folklore. The legend exploded in the 1980s when a man named Bob Lazar claimed he worked there, reverse engineering alien spacecraft. He talked of flying saucers and extraterrestrial autopsies, and a nation leaned in, desperate to believe. The truth, however, is almost stranger. Area 51 is where the future of warfare was born. This is where the U-2 spy plane, the SR-71 Blackbird, and the F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter first took flight. These were machines so advanced, so alien in their design, that when people saw them streaking across the desert sky, they weren't wrong to think they were seeing something not of this world. They were right. It just wasn't from another planet. It was from Lockheed Martin. Today, Area 51 is a paradox. You can't get within miles of the base, but you can buy an alien jerky snack at the gas station down the road. The myth has become a tourist industry. The government's denial didn't hide the truth. It created a new one. Area 51 is no longer just a place. It's a symbol of our relationship with secrets. The less we are told, the more we imagine. It's a canvas for our greatest fears and wildest fantasies. And out in the desert, under the watchful eyes of cameras you can't see, the silence is the whole point. It's not just empty space, it's a void that stares back. The Pine Barrens. The woods are watching ever been hiking and have the sudden, unnerving feeling you've gone in a circle. Your GPS is glitching, the trees all look the same, and the silence feels personal. Welcome to the New Jersey Pine Barrens. Over 1 million acres of tangled, sandy wilderness that seems to actively resent modern civilization. And out here, something is walking. For over 250 years, this has been the hunting ground of the Jersey Devil. The legend says in 1735, a frustrated mother of 12, known as Mother Leeds, cursed her 13th child, screaming, "Let this one be the devil!" The baby was born a monster, with hooves, a goat's head, and leathery wings, and flew out the chimney into the pines. A ridiculous story, right? But people keep seeing it. Farmers find livestock mutilated. Strange, blood-curdling screams echo from the swamps. Hoof prints appear in the snow and stop in the middle of a clearing, with no other tracks around. The barrens have always been a refuge for outcasts, Revolutionary War deserters, bootleggers, and the reclusive Pineys who call this forest home. Ghost towns crumble back into the earth, their stories swallowed by the trees. Outsiders have long seen this place as backward and dangerous. But the locals know the truth. The pines have their own rules. The wind whispers things. Branches snap just behind you. You are never ever truly alone. Is the Jersey Devil real? Probably not. It's likely a cocktail of misidentified animals, campfire tales, and local folklore. But the fear is real. The feeling of being watched by something ancient and territorial is undeniable. This isn't a forest you conquer. It's a forest you survive. It's a reminder that some patches of the world were never meant to be tamed, and that sometimes when the woods whisper, you shouldn't try to hear what they're saying. Just keep walking. St. Augustine Lighthouse. The light never forgets. You know how some smells or sounds can instantly transport you back in time? A song from your childhood, the scent of a grandmother's perfume. Some places can do that too. The St. Augustine Lighthouse is one of them. Standing tall and spiraled in black and white against the Florida sky, it's not just a historic landmark, it's a memory keeper. And its memories are restless. Tragedy is built into its very bones. During its construction in the 1870s, the daughters of the site superintendent were playing in a supply cart. It broke loose, plunging into the bay and drowning two of the girls. Today, visitors and staff report hearing children's laughter near the top of the tower. Some have even seen the faint figures of two girls in Victorian dress playing on the lawn before vanishing. The lighthouse keepers themselves seem to have never clocked out. One keeper, a man known for his love of cigars, is said to still make his rounds. The distinct smell of his cigar smoke appears out of nowhere in the tower, and his heavy footsteps are heard on the stairs when they are completely empty. Another keeper fell to his death while painting the tower. His shadowy figure is sometimes seen at the top, a silent guardian still on duty. Walking up the 219 steps is like climbing through layers of time. People report feeling dizzy, being gently touched, or hearing their names whispered on the wind. It's not an aggressive haunting, it's subtle. It's the chill that runs down your spine for no reason. It's the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. The lighthouse doesn't need to scream, it whispers, and it reminds you that some places are so soaked in life and loss, the past doesn't just echo, it breathes. Waverly Hills Sanatorium, the weight of the white plague. Everyone knows the feeling of a hospital, the sterile quiet, the hushed conversations, the air thick with anxiety and fragile hope. Now imagine a hospital the size of a castle, built exclusively for a disease with no cure, where death was a daily, predictable event. That is Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky. In the early 20th century, tuberculosis, the White Plague, was a death sentence. Waverly was built to fight it, a massive Gothic fortress of fresh air and desperate medicine. But for thousands of patients, it was the last place they ever saw. To keep morale up among the living, the dead were not carried out the front door. Instead, they were taken through a 500-foot underground tunnel known as the body chute. It was a discreet, grim conveyor belt of the deceased. Today, people who walk that tunnel report hearing dragging sounds, disembodied whispers, and the feeling of being followed in the suffocating dark. The entire building is a catalog of paranormal claims. On the 5th floor, the ghost of a nurse who allegedly took her own life in room 502 is said to linger, her despair so potent It makes visitors feel physically ill. Shadowy figures dart down hallways. A little boy named Timmy is said to roll a ball back and forth with investigators. Is it real? Who knows? But when you stand in a place that has absorbed that much suffering, that much fear, and that much loss, is it any surprise that the walls themselves seem to be in mourning? Waverly Hills is a monument to a forgotten epidemic, a place so saturated with sorrow that the past isn't just a memory, it's a resident. Body, California, the town with a temper. Have you ever pocketed a seashell from a beach or a cool-looking rock from a hike? A small, harmless souvenir. In Bodie, California, that's not a souvenir. It's an invitation for bad luck. Welcome to the ghost town that holds a grudge. Bodie was a gold rush boomtown, one of the wildest in the West. It was a place of saloons, shootouts, and bad men from Bodie. When the gold ran out, the people left, but the town's mean streak stayed behind. Today, Bodie is preserved in a state of arrested decay. Buildings stand just as they were left, tables set for dinner, shops stocked with goods. It feels like everyone just stepped out for a moment, a century ago. But here's the hook: the curse of Bodie. Legend says that anyone who takes anything, a nail, a shard of glass, a rock, will be cursed with misfortune until the item is returned. Park rangers receive packages every year with stolen items and letters of apology, detailing lost jobs, broken relationships, and sudden illnesses, all blamed on a pilfered piece of the town. Beyond the curse, the town itself feels aware. Caretakers report hearing music from the empty saloon. The ghost of a little girl is seen in the window of the Kane House. It's not just a collection of old buildings. It's a place that remembers its violent, chaotic life. Whether the curse is real or just a brilliant piece of folklore to prevent theft, it works. Bodie teaches you a lesson. Some places are not yours to take. You are a visitor, and the town is always, always watching. Racetrack Playa, the secret life of stones. Think about the strangest, most unexplainable thing you've ever seen. A weird light in the sky, a coincidence so perfect it felt impossible. Now imagine a place built on that feeling. In a remote, cracked corner of Death Valley lies Racetrack Playa, a dry lake bed where rocks, some weighing hundreds of pounds, move on their own. For decades, no one knew how. There were no footprints, no signs of intervention, just massive stones with long, elegant tracks carved into the mud behind them as if they'd slid across the desert floor. The theories were wild: magnetic fields, alien intervention, hurricane-force winds. The mystery was so perfect, it felt sacred. In 2014, scientists finally solved it. In a rare combination of events, a thin layer of rain freezes into vast, thin sheets of ice. As the sun warms the ice, it cracks, and light winds push these massive sails of ice, which in turn slowly, silently shove the rocks across the slick mud. Mystery solved, right? But knowing how it happens doesn't take away the magic. Standing there, on that vast, silent plain, seeing those tracks, you still feel it. A sense of wonder. The explanation is so delicate, so dependent on a perfect storm of conditions, that it feels almost as miraculous as the mystery itself. The stones don't move for us. They move according to a slow, secret ballet of physics that we were never meant to see. Racetrack Playa isn't haunted by ghosts. It's haunted by the beautiful, humbling realization that the world is still performing magic, even when no one is watching. Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, the glade that watches. Back there are places that just feel off. A stretch of road, a corner of a basement, a patch of woods. Bachelor's Grove Cemetery is one of those places. Tucked away outside of Chicago, this small, abandoned graveyard has become a magnet for the bizarre. It's not just a resting place, it's an active participant in its own haunting. The stories are legendary. A phantom farmhouse that appears and disappears before your eyes. A ghostly monk who wanders near the murky pond, and most famously, the White Lady, a spectral woman in a long dress, often seen sitting on a tombstone, cradling an infant that isn't there. She's been photographed, but it's the feeling she imparts that's truly haunting. A wave of profound, crushing sadness. What makes Bachelor's Grove so potent? Decades of neglect, vandalism, and rumors of its use as a dumping ground for the Chicago mob have curdled the atmosphere. The place feels violated. The energy here isn't just old, it's angry. People report being touched, hearing their names whispered, and seeing glowing orbs of light floating between the gnarled trees. Skepticism tends to evaporate quickly here. The feeling of being watched is so intense, it's like the very air is an eye. Bachelor's Grove is a stark reminder that some places don't rest in peace. They wait. Eternal Flame Falls, the Earth's Secret. Have you ever stumbled upon something so unexpected and beautiful it felt like a secret just for you? A hidden garden, a perfect view. In a park in western New York, there's a secret like that, but it defies logic. Behind a small waterfall tucked into a grotto, a flame burns. Not a big flame, but a real, flickering fire, living in harmony with the water that should extinguish it. This is Eternal Flame Falls. Science says it's a natural gas leak, a rare geological quirk. But standing there listening to the water and watching the flame dance, it feels like more than that. It feels ancient, primal. Native legends call it a sacred place, a spot where the veil between worlds is thin. Geologists were puzzled for years. The gas here is different, coming from much deeper in the earth than the surrounding rock should allow. The science doesn't quite fit. It's a mystery with a scientific name, which somehow makes it even more magical. Hikers report strange feelings here, a sense of peace, of being watched, of time slowing down. There's no horror, no dread, just awe. The flame asks nothing of you. It simply exists, a quiet paradox. It's a place that reminds you that the earth still has its private wonders, its little impossibilities, burning just out of sight, waiting to be found. The Kehoe House, Southern hospitality from beyond. Imagine staying at a beautiful, historic bed and breakfast, the kind with four-poster beds and sherry in the parlor. Now imagine that at 2 a.m., you hear the faint sound of children giggling in the hallway. You open the door, no one is there. Welcome to the Kehoe House in Savannah. Built in 1892 by a wealthy iron tycoon, William Kehoe, this magnificent home was filled with the sounds of his 10 children, but local legend insists that not all of them survived to adulthood. One story claims 2 of the Kehoe children died in a tragic accident within the home's walls. Whether it's true or not, the house has never forgotten the sound of a child's laughter. After the Kehoes moved on, the building served as a funeral home, deepening its connection to the other side. Today, it's one of Savannah's most luxurious inns, but the original residents have apparently never checked out. The hauntings here are famously polite. Guests report the scent of an old-fashioned perfume in empty rooms, the feeling of a small hand gently tugging their blanket, or the sensation of someone sitting on the edge of the bed only to vanish. These aren't terrifying ghosts, they're nostalgic ones. It's as if the house is simply replaying its happiest and saddest memories. Staying at the Kehoe House is like being a guest in someone else's dream. A beautiful, sad, and unforgettable experience where the turn-down service might just be spectral. Coral Castle. The man who knew too much. We've all had a project born of passion. A garden, a painting, a piece of furniture. It takes time, effort, love. Now imagine your project is building a castle out of multi-ton blocks of coral rock, by yourself, with no modern machinery, all because your heart was broken. This is Coral Castle, the baffling creation of a tiny Latvian immigrant named Ed Leedskalnin. Just over 5 feet tall and weighing 100 pounds, Ed single-handedly carved and moved over 1,100 tons of rock after being left at the altar by his Sweet 16. How? No one knows. He worked at night, in secret. When asked, he'd simply say he knew the secrets of the pyramids and understood the laws of magnetic currents. The result is impossible. A 9-ton gate that once moved with the push of a finger, a perfectly balanced stone rocking chair, a telescope aimed at the North Star. Engineers today still can't agree on how he did it. Some say he tapped into ley lines or anti-gravity. Others believe he discovered a lost science. The castle itself feels charged. It's not haunted by a ghost, but by a question: how? The air hums with the energy of one man's obsessive genius. Ed's spirit is said to still watch over his lonely monument to lost love. To walk through Coral Castle is to be humbled by the sheer force of a single, determined, heartbroken will. It's a testament to the idea that some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, just witnessed in silent, baffled awe. The Winchester Mystery House. The house that grief built. Ever started a home renovation project that felt like it would never end? A wall you regret knocking down, a room that's never quite right. Sarah Winchester took that feeling and turned it into an architectural fever dream. The Winchester Mystery House isn't a home. It's a 160-room labyrinth of madness and mourning. Sarah was the heir to the Winchester rifle fortune. After the deaths of her infant daughter and husband, a grieving Sarah allegedly consulted a medium who told her she was being haunted by the spirits of everyone killed by a Winchester rifle. The only way to appease them: move west and build a house, and never ever stop. For 38 years, the hammering never ceased. With no architect and no master plan, the house grew into a bizarre maze designed to confuse the spirits. There are staircases that lead to ceilings, doors that open onto a 2-story drop, windows that look into other rooms, a seance room with 1 entrance and 3 exits. The number 13 is everywhere. The house feels like a puzzle with no solution. Was Sarah a tormented soul, a brilliant architect with a hidden code, or simply an eccentric woman with too much money and too much grief? Maybe all 3. Staff and visitors report disembodied footsteps, doors slamming on their own, and the ghostly figure of a man pushing a wheelbarrow. The house doesn't feel empty. It feels occupied, not by individual ghosts, but by a collective, restless energy. It's a physical manifestation of a troubled mind, a place where the architecture itself is the haunting. Ringing Rocks Park. The Earth's xylophone. Go into your kitchen and tap a spoon against a ceramic bowl, then a wooden table, then a metal pot. Each makes a different sound. Simple physics. Now imagine a field of boulders in the Pennsylvania woods, and when you tap them with a hammer, they don't just thud, they sing. Welcome to Ringing Rocks Park, a sprawling field of volcanic diabase boulders that, for some reason, resonate with clear, metallic, bell-like tones. Not all of them ring. which makes finding a singer a moment of discovery. But here's the truly weird part. If you take one of the ringing rocks out of the field, it goes silent. The magic is in the place itself. Scientists have theories, internal stress, unique mineral composition, but no one can fully explain why the location is the key. It's as if the rocks only perform as an ensemble. Local lore speaks of sacred ground and strange energies. Paranormal investigators have recorded odd EMF spikes, but you don't need to believe in ghosts to feel the wonder here. To walk through the boulder field, tapping a hammer and listening for a reply, is to have a conversation with geology. It's a natural phenomenon that feels supernatural. It's a place that hums with a mystery that science hasn't fully tamed. Ringing Rocks Park doesn't have a story of death or tragedy. Its story is sound, a quiet, resonant magic waiting for someone to come and play the stones. The Crescent Hotel, America's most haunted resort. You check into a beautiful historic hotel. The bellhop is charming, the view is stunning. But later that night, you feel a sudden, inexplicable cold spot in your room, and the TV turns on by itself. Do you laugh it off, or do you remember you're at the Crescent? Perched over Eureka Springs, Arkansas, this Victorian grand dame has been called America's most haunted hotel, and it has earned the title. Built in 1886 as a luxury resort, it has since been a women's college and most infamously a fraudulent cancer hospital run by a charlatan named Norman Baker. Baker, who had no medical training, promised miracle cures, but delivered only death and false hope. His morgue was later found in the basement, along with jars of preserved body parts. That dark chapter seems to have permanently stained the hotel. The ghosts here are a who's who of the hotel's past. There's Michael, an Irish stonemason who fell to his death during construction and now haunts room 218. There's Theodora, a patient of Baker's, who politely introduces herself to guests before vanishing. There are ghostly nurses pushing gurneys down the hall and phantom children giggling near the lobby. The hotel embraces its reputation, with ghost tours that end in the old morgue. Skeptics can scoff, but the sheer volume and consistency of the paranormal reports are staggering. The Crescent is more than a hotel. It's a stage where the tragedies of the past are on a perpetual loop. You don't just stay here, you become part of the audience, and you get the distinct feeling that the performers are very, very aware you're watching.